Hi and welcome to a video breakdown of the Eminence Punt Cities tournament showcasing the top 16 and the finals match. For those that don't know what Eminence is, it's an tournament organization that hosts tournaments over webcam or in paper events like this one. This event actually had 158 participants, and we're going to look at the players and decks that came to the top 16. But I will leave a link in the description below of the video if you want to take a look at more of what the Eminence are up to. But now, let's get starting. So first one out, we have Niv Mizzet Parun Isset. Typical control deck. They want to draw the entire deck with Tandem Lookout, and by doing so, killing the table. It often enters as the control deck in the pod because it's sitting with just so many counter spells. Because once you have your Niv Mizzet in play, you can cantrip through your deck towards your win con. Like Niv Mizzet is a really strong card in general. If you get to land Niv Mizzet, you usually have a great game, and the win isn't that far away for you. No Underworld Breach this time, and the land count is down to 28. When Niv Mizzet first came, it kind of struggled to actually get in there, but Dockside really helped out with that because that's a great way to achieve the mana that you need to get Niv Mizzet into play. Sadly here is that we don't have that much tutors for Dockside like Gamble, and let's see if we actually have Muddle the Mixture. Yeah, there we go, Muddle the Mixture. So this deck has definitely gotten a little bit better because of the printing of Dockside and other things like Hued Lotus. And Treasonous Ogre is great. It doesn't play Simian Spirit Guide, but Goblin Matron to find Dockside. I really like that part. Next deck is Animar Evolution. Looks like the very general, typical Animar that you see these days. We have Walking Ballista, we have Kinnan, Timber Sabertooth, Imperial Recruiter, Birthing Pod. Birthing Pod isn't something you always see in Animar, but I kinda like it. There are a bunch of really key creatures for this deck that you can pod towards. For example, you can pod your birds to a Dockside. You could pod some of your free drops, like Animar, to Ancestral Statue. Or, well, you don't really want to pod Animar to that, but you could pod Animar into that. Land count 26. Then we have Rogencilias from the Epic Storm. And I guess this is the Epic Storm YouTube channel. And he is very famous for playing a lot of Cilias and Rogorak. Clean turbo deck, wanna win fast. Where's the Adnas? There's the Adnas. Does he play Peer? I don't think he's playing Peer. Most Cilias Roguerite decks have started to cut Peer. We have Warrior's Oath and Last Chance. And in that case, we're just basically tripling down on the Final Fortune. I kinda like that. No Bola Citadel. I don't see that many people playing Bola Citadel these days, but it plays a big package of 18 artifacts. 24 lands, the lowest so far. He's playing Necropotence though. Well, if you're playing Necropotence, all of those extra turn red spells make sense, except that Final Fortune might be the only one you can actually use unless you have Emergency Zone. I don't think you do have Emergency Zone. Nope, but you do have some of the rest key cards, Yawgmoth's Seal, Demonic Betrayal, we have Underworld Breach, obviously, and Phantas's Dockside. Notion Thief and Opposition Agent is a little bit rare to see in these decks because they are more towards the control cards, or well, Opposition Agent is like fine in most cases, but some people view Notion Thief a little bit too expensive and something you can't really afford, but I like it. Look at the amount of wheels we have. Time, Wheel of Fortune, Misfortune, Windfall. The Notion Thief makes sense here in my opinion. Next up is Tivit by Austin Ku something. Esper, big expensive swings that's gonna give you treasures and clues. And when he generates 5 random artifacts, we can win with the 1-card combo Time Sieve. Clean and simple. Blind Obedience. Yeah, I kinda like that. Smothering Tide. Yeah, I also kinda like that. 29 lands, highest so far. He's also playing Orem's Chant, which is a version of Silence. Toxic Deluge, obviously, really like that because the creature count isn't that big, and his creature is really big, and this is a great way to just get rid of all of those annoying hate bears. The same thing with the Dam. Great board wipe that you can use as a cheaper spot removal. He actually doesn't play Adnas. I'm a little bit surprised about that, because Time Sieve and Adnas is absolutely amazing. Like, Time Sieve is a great finisher after an Adnas. Imagine a really high artifact count on a low CMC value of 0. And you cast Adnos, you dig really efficiently through your deck until you find Time Sieve. You cast your 0 costing artifacts, a little bit here and there, just the random ones, and then you just need 1 blue, 1 black, which is really easy to achieve post an Adnos, and boom, you activate Time Sieve, and you take an extra turn, and from here it's usually really easy to win. So Time Sieve is a great card for an Adnos deck. And I don't find the CMC of his deck to be that big. Like Phyrexian Metamorph is one of the more expensive ones, Displacer Kitten, but after that, the Notion Thief is 4, the rest is kinda low. Like Dam is actually a good example of a great Adnos card. You can pay 4 for a board wipe, but it just has 2 CMC once you're going through your deck with your Adnos with it. Thrasius and Tevesh, Sultai. Next one up. This feels like a very mid-range value deck with Biomancer's Familiar and Seedborn Muse. Notion Thief, Displacer Kitten. Displacer Kitten is really good with Thrasius. Do we have something? It would be great if this deck could have Dockside, like Displacer Kitten, Dockside, Thrasius. We've seen that in the previous video tournament. That was pretty epic. We do have a Phyrexian Metamorph though, so we do have some form of Dockside, kinda. We don't have an Adnos. Well, it feels like the deck is hitting a bit high CMC, 4, 4, 4, 5. So yeah, big artifact package of 15 artifacts. Skull Clamp, one of those, really good with Tevesh. Land count 28. A Gaia's Cradle, really good with the tokens that Tevesh Saf is producing. And a big control package. We have another Rograk Silias deck by Ara. He's also playing Notion Thief and Opposition Agent like the previous Rogside deck we looked at. He's also playing the same amount of wheels. He's also playing Last Chance. And also he doesn't play Peer into the Abyss. He only plays one of the extra turn sorcery spells. The previous Rogside deck was also on Warrior's Oath. This is on Last Chance and Final Fortune only. Obvious Adnos, that's the core key card for the deck. 20 artifacts in this one, and he's actually playing Bolas Citadel. And if he's playing Bolas Citadel, yeah, 24 lands. Really low land count. And in this we have City of Traitors, I really like that, and Ancient Tomb. And obviously Phyrexian Tower. But now we have some really fringe things, like we have a Kedis and Malcolm, which is actually really cool. So the trick is that you attack with Malcolm to generate a treasure by smacking someone, but then Kedis will also trigger and help you generate more treasures. So whenever your Malcolm attacks, you generate 3 treasures a turn cycle, so suddenly you're generating a lot of mana. Your usual win con is Glinthorn Buccaneer, but you can sculpt other wins, but also this deck is actually capable of affording Niv-Mizzet Parun, the big dragon, but you also have Magda to tutor out Niv-Mizzet Parun. So the first glance at this deck looks kinda casual and mediocre, like you're gonna generate treasure to cast really big expensive spells, and yes, that's true, but once you realize that the big expensive spells are Niv-Mizzet, Consecrated Sphinx, then it starts to get a little bit scary. Like Niv-Mizzet can easily take over the game, like this is the commander inside the 99 basically. But we also play things like Pull from Tomorrow, which is a big X spell to draw a lot of cards. We have Commander's Insight. We obviously have Underworld Breach. Do we have a Lionside Diamond? No, we don't. We have a Lotus Petal though, and I don't think we have a Brain Freeze. Didn't see that one. No Brain Freeze. I guess he's using Underworld Breach as a form of value engine here. Something to just do something explosive, similar to a Yawgmoth's Will, so to say. And the land count is 26. Actually, he's on 28 because he has some other flip cards that become lands. Then we have Rakdos Florian by Max PMTG. A kinda cool card draw engine for Rakdos. I actually never played against this besides casual, but I've heard that it's actually able to perform some good results. Like the card engine is always gonna give you something, and black-red is in a quite good spot currently. Here we have Peer into the Abyss, and we have Ad Nauseam, and Bolas Citadel. So it's a big storm deck, like it should be. A big 21 artifacts, lots of various rituals, obvious Underworld Breach, and 26 lands. We have a mixture of value engines in the creature count. For example, we have Oppo Agent, we have Dragon's Rage Channeler, Daffy, Birgi, Grim Hireling, Facebreaker, Loyal Apprentice, Magda. But then we have stacks cards like Mayhem Devil, that could be a finisher, Stitcher Supplier, and Skirk Prospector, but also Goblin Engine and Goblin Wielder. Could almost play Goblin Matron in this deck, but I don't think you need to because you're on black color identity, so you have tutors already. Let's look at this name. Maybe the real cats were the friends we made along the way by D-Train, Thrasius and Tymna. Looks like a Rasa-Cats build actually, so we have a Rasa-Cats. No, sorry, it's not a Rasa-Cats build, it's just a Rasa-Cat. We have Adrian instead, which is better. I guess the Rasa-Cats needs a new name in that case. Rasa-Adrian. Whatever. But because of that, he doesn't play Ad Nauseam. I guess this is more of a Reanimator deck. Let's see here, we have Life and Death, that's correct. We have Reanimate, we have Animate Dead, Dance of the Dead, Necromancy, and Survival of the Fittest. Really good when you want to reanimate a Rasa-Kef. Do we have something to draw in? Do we have a creature we can find that can just reanimate Rasa-Kef? Doesn't look like it. So there is a card this deck could actually include called Necrotic Ooze. As long as Necrotic Ooze is on the battlefield, it has all activated abilities of all creature cards in all graveyard. So if you have a Survival of the Fittest, you pay 1 green mana to discard Rasa-Kef to your graveyard, and then you find Necrotic Ooze here, you pay 4 mana, which is a really low amount of mana for like a reanimated creature effect, and then boom, you suddenly have the Rasa-Kef activated ability on the battlefield for only 5 mana. So this is a good way to actually get your Rasa-Kef into play from a Survival of the Fittest. However, you already have Spell Seeker that you can find from the Survival of the Fittest, and then Spell Seeker can find Reanimate, which is the same thing. However, Reanimate can be counterspelled with non-creature counterspells, and the Necrotic Ooze can't. So there are pros and cons here. But I like it. Looks like a clean TNT Rasa-Cat. I'm still saying Rasa-Cats. Land count 30. Now that's a new record, highest so far. Next deck is a Tivit by Khalil. This is the second Tivit we're looking at. I'm just gonna guess that we have a Time Sieve combo in here. There it is, there's a Time Sieve. Do we have an Adnos this time? No, we don't. We have Toxic, Savines, Imperial Seal, Demonic Tutor, and Damn. I kinda like that Tivit is going on the board wipe path because of the hate bears that exist in this deck that you could run into. Notas and other stacks decks out there. Good way to solve those problems. But this time we are actually playing some stacks cards. Containment Priest and Elish Norn, Mother of Machines, Opwagent, Dranite, Notion. I do like Spellskite. That's a good way to protect your Tivit. Even though Tivit already have Ward, it could be good to just have more. But Mother of Machines together with Tivit, that's a lot of value. And then we have Displacer Kitten. Displacer Kitten and Tivit is, that's really good. I really like that. So whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you flicker Tivit and you gain 2 treasures and 3 clues, usually. That's really good. We have a big control package of various counter spells. Dovian's Veto. Don't often see that, but I like it. Soul Partition, Silence, Path of Exile, Swords to Plowshares. We're going doubling down on the mono white spot creature removal, but also Vanishing Verse, Whir of Invention. Really like that because you can tap your clues to pay for Whir of Invention to find the Time Sieve. Land count is 28, the total artifact count is 16, and Smothering Tide and Blind Obedience in this deck as well. Also we have an Hour of Silence, so this deck is going for something of like the mid-range control, Sudud Ritual Turbo, together with some key selected stacks cards. Ooh, we have the new Yoira Expedition map. What does it do again? Put 2 Ingenuity counters on Yoira, then you may put an artifact card with mana value X or less from your hand into the battlefield where X is the number of Ingenuity counters on Yoira. In Izzet colors. So we have some really big expensive artifacts like Sandstone Oracle, Kuldota Forge Master, Scrap Traveler. I guess Scrap Traveler is gonna be the win con for this deck. Yeah, it looks like it with Mirror Retriever, Phyrexian Metamorph, Emery, that's really good. That's a very artifact orientated blue creature. But then we have a bunch of really big... Oh, look, we're playing Ward of Bones! Each opponent who controls more creatures than You can't play creature cards. The same is true for artifacts, enchantments, and lands. And we're tricking artifacts into play. So we can still put artifacts into play and go past someone else that doesn't have that many artifacts in play. But yeah, this looks like a creature that is just going to put artifacts into play for free. It's cheating mana, basically. Kinda good. I really like it. Stranglehold. Don't often see that. In general, it looks like a control deck, like a stacks deck of sorts. Converted Duel, 1000-year Elixir, the Mightstone and Weakstone. We're playing some really big stuff here. What in the world is this? Search a library for a creature card with total casting cost no greater than X. Reveal that card and put it in your hand and shuffle your library. So it's a creature tutor. But you have to pay the CMC mana for that creature tutor. And it's a 5 mana artifact to put into play. That's expensive. But with that you can find your scrap trawler and other key artifact creatures that you need. Land count 29. Those were the 12 decks that didn't get to the top 4 finals. Now, let's take a look at who actually got there. And this is where I'm mega excited because we have a cEDH! 5-color cEDH, Weatherlight Captain by Vice Dreischen in the top 4 finals. Awesome! He's going for the Aminatu, Nicobolas, and I guess in the enchantments we have the Oath of Teferi combo. But he doesn't play the Orochi Leaf Color. But on the other hand, his creature count isn't that high, only 26. But he has a bunch of legendaries. Ashiok, Kyoira, Sali, Teferi, Tyvar. He plays the new Ertai Resurrected, Emil the Blessed. So he's both on the Emil the Blessed and the Revi. And do we have the Cradle? Yeah, obviously 100% we always have the Cradle when you're playing cEDH, no brainer. But Dockside Emil combo. We also have 9B to boost that combo. We have Giganta the Wellspring together with Selvala. We have Sakashima that can steal and become a Dockside in instant speed. If someone has Dockside in play, then you have a CMC 5 legendary cEDH. Kroxa, Lavinia, Lurus, the new Mono White Defector Might, Bloom Tender, Faber Elder, Lauren of the Third Path, Caltilda Dawnheart Prime. I really like that one. He doesn't play Yesika. Oh well, he has Catilda instead. The typical creature tutors that you normally use, the typical instants that you normally use, the typical artifacts that you normally use. Mana Vault though, don't often see that in cEDH. He doesn't play Smothering Tide. I really like Smothering Tide in cEDH. And 29 lands. Then we have the enemies, because cEDH is the hero of the story, obviously. We have Connor. This is the deck that Pontus has based his Yond Dargo a lot from. Connor is very famous for playing a lot of Dargo. This is a Yond Dargo with Ikra and Dargo. Dargo is a very efficient combo creature that can utilize a lot of really strong combo effects. And Ikra is basically color identity for Culling Ritual. That is a very strong card currently. And the basic core of this deck is an Ad Nauseam. Do we have a Peer into the Abyss? Yes, we do actually have a Peer into the Abyss. And we don't have the Spola Citadel. But we do have a Necropotence, Underworld Breach, Pattern of Rebirth, Greater Good, 26 lands in this deck. We do have the Final Fortune, but we don't have the 2 sorcery versions of Final Fortune. We also have a Rasakats. No, sorry. I keep saying Rasakats. We have a Rasakef. I'm so addicted to saying Rasakats. It's a little bit brave to have Rasakef together with an Ad Nauseam, but it works. You can do that. Living on the edge, so to say. We have the combo finisher Dual Caster Mage together with... Where are they? No, wait, he's not playing Heat Shimmer or Twin Flame. Okay, so he's just playing Dual Caster Mage for value, like an interaction card. Which is a little bit expensive, like it's a free mana cost creature to fight in a counter war, which is fine, it's not bad, but it's still free mana, it's quite a lot. But normally you combo with the Dual Caster Mage with some Twin Flame or Heat Shimmers. And here we have a Venota Stacks by Sad Robot. It's a typical Venota, 49 creatures, Magus of the Moon, Kikijiki, Imperial Recruiter, Thalia Lancer, Thalia, Celius Conscript, Solitude, 31 lands, actually 32 because of cards that could become lands. But yeah, this looks like the typical Venota snowball deck that you usually see. Phoenix Chicken! Yes! A 1/1 with flying and haste. It's so cute. I love it. Rograk making the 99. Yeah, Rograk is a really good card for Venota. And the last deck in the final pods is Crom Tymna Blue Farm. The only blue farm we actually have seen in the top 16. We did see some other Grixis turbo decks, but this was the only blue farm. It's actually a form of like mid-range. Blue farm is a bit mid-range, but we have Containment Priest, we have Lavinia Saurus Renegade, Draenite Magistrate, Oppo Agent, and Daffy Voidwalker, and Loyal Apprentice. Loyal Apprentice is really good with Tymna, but you aren't always on the Tymna game plan. But yeah, I kind of like it. This is going to give you a lot of card draw potential if you get your Tymna in play. You play Damn. I like that because, once again, this is a form of mid-range creature deck. Not that many, but a few. But we could tweak Damn to either be a spot removal or a board wipe, depending on how much that Venota deck is putting into play. Obvious Adnos, obvious Cyclonic Rift, no Peer into the Abyss, no Bolas Citadel, obvious Underworld Breach. I don't think I need to mention that. 28 lands total. The big standard package of counterspells like Mind Break Trap have started to see a lot of play in a lot of decks. Fear, Force of Negation, Brain Freeze, Chain of Vapor, Fierce Guardianship, Mental, Intuition, Swan Song, Snap, Swords to Plowshare, and I really like Fire Covenant. Mnemonic Betrayal or Meme Betrayal. He only plays Wheel of Fortune. He doesn't play Time Twister or Windfall or Wheel of Misfortune. Only Wheel of Fortune. And he doesn't play Notion Thief. He does play Serra Ascendant though. But now, let's actually take a look at the game. So CC gets to be the starting player with an Underground Sea and passing. On turn 2 we have, or next play in turn order, we have Dargo Ikra by Connor. He also just plays a land and pass. So far it's been a kind of slow game, but here's where things start off really explosively. We have a Yule Lotus and a land drop, which follows up with a turn 1 Venota. Now a turn 1 Venota isn't that strong because Venota doesn't do anything on her own. You need more, but here we have a free to cast artifact with 0 attack that will generate Venota triggers, and now this is a very explosive start for Venota. Now she can start to accumulate value at the beginning of turn 2. Tymna Crom also have a good start with a Yule Lotus themselves, together with a Simian Spirit Guide for a turn 1 Crom. An Arcane Signet from Sisay, slow and steady development, not the fast speed you need. Currently Crom and Venota have started to accumulate some value, so you usually need a little bit more on your turn 2, but it is what it is. Dargo Ikra also goes Artifact and Pass. Venota goes to combat, generating attack Venota trigger, and finds a Professional Phase Breaker. This is a really good hit because it's generating 2 treasures because he hit 2 different players. And then following up with an Ediswan Canonist that is preventing people from casting too many non-artifact spells. We have a Lotus Petal from the Crom. Now Ediswan Canonist is really good at shutting down the Crom, because now it's going to be hard for people to generate Crom triggers. But he is able to play a Lotus Petal into a Dockside Extortionist, generating 6 treasures. The Venota didn't sacrifice his treasures. He used 2 of those to cast a Wishclaw Talisman. The Tymna Crom player's current board state looks quite impressive. It all came from a Yule Lotus and a Dockside Extortionist. And then we have a Vamp Tutor from CC in the end step. I'm guessing this is gonna be a Dockside. Because Dockside is really good here, it's gonna force people to potentially sacrifice their treasures, and also CC utilize Dockside really well. The big problem for CC now is actually Ediswan Canonist, because after Dockside you can't really follow up. And here we have the players, by the way. The guy in the bandana is the hero of the story, the CC player we all cheer for, right? Behind him we have the Ikra Dargo, we can't really see him. And yes, we do have a Dockside generating 8 treasures. No one cracked theirs. But then Connor counters pretty much everything with a Culling Ritual. This is gonna generate an enormous amount of mana and destroy all board states, more or less. All the treasures, the Wishclaw Talisman, the Docksides, the Arcane Signets, the Ediswan Canonist. But in response, the blue farm Tymna Crom plays Fire Covenant to get rid of some creatures, to reduce the amount of mana the Culling Ritual is going to generate. So we both had a board wipe to remove a lot of creatures, and then a Dovian's Veto on the Culling Ritual. Venota follows up with a Draenite Magistrate. This is a great card currently because it's shutting down Dargo and Unrule Breach and cEDH. And cEDH is in a really strong board state potentially if she can get cEDH into play. So this is a great impactful card at the current pod. Because with that amount of treasures, cEDH could be soon close to finishing out the game. Activate and use Wishclaw Talisman, giving it to Dargo Ikra. And he casts an Rhystic Study, which is what I guessed he tutored for. Which is a good card in the current situation. People aren't really close at winning, or they are kind of close at winning, but they are also having problems with various stacks creatures, and they have been board wiped. So it's going to be a little bit of a longer game where people need to develop. So I think Rhystic Study is a great choice to find with his Wishclaw Talisman here. Fast forwarding, not much is happening. People are slowly developing, generating Crom triggers, and just passing the turn cycle. But everyone is paying for that Rhystic Study. And even Crom Tymna doesn't do anything on their turn, and the turn just goes to cEDH again. On cEDH's turn, we actually have something that could be impactful in this game. Chainer Nightmare Adept. Discard a card. You may cast a creature spell from your graveyard this turn, which means that cEDH could reanimate Dockside. This means that cEDH could potentially be close at performing a form of win-con finisher if she can get cEDH into play, which she can't because of Draenei Magistrate, and then discard a card to recast Dockside, and now cEDH will be really big, so cEDH could tutor for Emil. So the finisher is soon getting close there, but there are hate bears in play. So the game just continues going around the turn cycle, where everyone is just slowly developing small stuff while paying for Rhystic Study. But now we have a big development that can change the structure. We have a Noxus Revive from the Dargo Ikra, putting Culling Ritual back on top of his deck, drawing Culling Ritual for the turn, activating the Wishclaw Talisman that he received from the Tymna Crom player, sending it to cEDH, last person in the turn cycle. So here he has Culling Ritual in his hand and tutoring for an outlet. So basically Culling Ritual is gonna generate a lot of mana, and then we're gonna have a big explosive spell that's gonna win the game with the mana somehow. That's the plan. Culling Ritual on the stack, it doesn't pay for Rhystic Study, so Tymna Crom draws a card. Kinda risky to let someone draw cards now, because you're kinda close to winning the game, so giving away potential counterspells is kinda risky. We have a Swan Song from the cEDH player, but then we have a Mental Misstep from the Tymna Crom that wants this to resolve. And in the end we have a big kaboom cleaning the board state with the Culling Ritual. And as you can see, we generate a lot of black and green mana here that he immediately spends for a Prayer into the Abyss. But this is generating a Crom trigger and a Rhystic Study trigger. Tymna Crom responds with a Tutor in response to the Crom trigger. And the best way to interact with a Peer into the Abyss is deflecting SWAT, stealing it. So Peer into the Abyss resolves, but it's targeting Tymna and Crom instead of Dargo Ikra, letting him draw an enormous amount of cards. And if we fast forward a tiny bit, it gets to his turn, he puts a bunch of rocks into play, and finish the game with an eventual Thassa's Tainted Pact. Tymna Crom wins the tournament. And if you want to take a look at the live stream more in detail, the winner is currently to the right, the Tymna Crom player, interviewed by Scott. Link in the description below of the video for the live stream. I hope you enjoyed this video. The goal with this is to bring a understanding of what people are bringing to a tournament, what is getting to the top 16, what to include in their decks, good inspiration and good ideas what to include in your decks if you want to get to that spot potentially, but also how the tournament finals actually look like, a fast forward version of it in the short aspect of what is happening, what is impactful, and how the finisher looked like. But if you want to see the game in more detail, once again, link in the description below of the video. Thank you so much for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, take care guys, and we'll see you next time.